Chapter 0. You are listening at FameTV.info. What the readers of romance novels want to know is how the two protagonists meet, fall in love, and whether they have a happy ending or not. That I also didn't wish for anything more than that. So it was natural that I got furious after reading The Witch's Curse. You might wonder what kind of anger I felt after I read the book, but if you listen, you will understand. Before I express my anger, I want to talk about the male lead of this novel. That way, you can fully empathize with my feeling. Nicholas got cursed when he was a child, though it's a little bit strange to call it a curse. The curse is quite difficult to explain. Still, since I was the one who brought this up, I have to explain it. A person who receives things from Nicholas will experience extreme happiness. That was his curse. Wait, what kind of curse is this? Well, this is why you need to thoroughly listen to someone's words until the very end. The witch who cursed him had said, "The darkness will come, when your life's fortune runs out by giving happiness to others. Everyone will hate and despise you, and you will die painfully at an early age." Now, at this point, I'm sure you can understand why this is called a curse. You might even think that she's a horrible witch. However, this witch, who was said to be ill-hearted, pitifully gave away a clue on how to break the curse. But there is only one person who is immune to your curse. If you win their heart and bear the fruit of love, your curse will be broken. It's a little reminiscent of Beauty and the Beast, isn't it? Well, in this novel, there isn't a beast. Nicholas was quite a handsome man anyway. He never failed to condemn that witch every day of his life. Even if Nicholas handed everyone mole's dung, they would laugh happily. They were crazy. Whenever such an unyielding thing happened, he couldn't help but wonder how much luck he had left, how many days he had until he died. And so, every time that he saw a stranger's smiling face, he frowned and got angry. He developed a bad temper, as if that stranger sucked the life out of him. Nevertheless, even such ill-tempered humans have regrets in their life. What can he do? He had to obey the witch if he wanted to stay alive, someone who is immune to the curse. The other half of his life. A woman to share his love with. Nicholas made up his mind to find that woman. At first, he roughly found a way to do it. He was too young at the time, so he didn't really understand what a companion for life was. Besides, to find his destined woman, he had to give them a gift and check their reaction, but by doing that he's wasting his luck. When he had grown older, he felt a little skeptical about a life where he couldn't choose his spouse. But as he aged every year, he started to get impatient. Because of this, he started to worry he would die at an early age due to making others happy. That's how Nicholas underwent a sudden change of heart during his youth. As long as she shows up. If she showed up, he felt like they could easily fall in love. Now, let's stop here. It seems we've introduced the main character enough. Now do you think you can predict the development of the novel? Of course, Nicholas, who had a painful childhood, met the fated woman, loved, grew up, got married or whatever, and eventually, their ending would be, they lived happily ever after. That should be the typical novel's plot, right? However, this novel was insane. It borrowed the cliché and classic settings of a curse and true love, but it abandoned the elegance of a classic romance, which is considered the core. Nicholas met the fated woman, but in the end he doesn't fall in love. Of course, at first he wanted to live, so he did everything he could to stay alive. He repeatedly brainwashes her to be blinded by love every night and forcefully insists that the love others talked about was a plausible lie. He does his best to love her like that, but in the end he only experienced vague feelings. Perhaps he didn't know how to love her because he never loved anyone while growing up. No, leaving all that behind, the destined woman had a fatal problem. The woman's identity was the witch. She was the mastermind in this novel. The inside story was like this: the witch wanted a powerful heir. A descendant with the quality of a wizard. So she goes to look for Count Solandry, who is from a famous sorcerer's family, and asked them to give their child to her. That child was Nicholas. Obviously, as Nicholas's parents, they're unable to give him up, and thus a duel happened. The witch ended up winning the battle against the genius sorcerers and killed both of them. The witch tried to take Nicholas away with an indifferent heart. However, the child had resisted. There was no way he would follow the witch who killed his parents in front of him. Even if she takes him by force, he wouldn't grow up obediently as her successor. Eventually, the witch cursed him and decided to become the destined woman herself, and have a child with Nicholas. What kind of pedophilic story is this? Why would I read this kind of novel? Are you questioning my mental state? Oh, this is because the truth comes out in the latter part of the novel. I like and prefer an adult man, especially a handsome one. The bigger the man's physique is, the better. So don't misunderstand, and please listen to me until the end, because a more amazing story comes out. Anyway, the beginning of The Witch's Curse goes smoothly as it pretends to be an ordinary romance novel. Whether the witch had a conscience, she appears in front of Nicholas when he reaches adulthood. Nicholas, who sees the witch as the fated woman, quickly proposes to her like a dating novice. After getting married, the true beginning of the misfortune unfolds. Nicholas vaguely guessed that the fruit of love the witch spoke of meant a child. However, for someone who has never loved, he had great fantasies about the concept. He couldn't have a child with someone he didn't love. However, the witch's purpose was to obtain a successor with great magical abilities. So there was bound to be a conflict with each other. A child couldn't be conceived just by holding hands, and it also wasn't something that the witch could do without a doctor. Perhaps that's why Nicholas kept facing all sorts of misfortunes. Assassins showed up, monsters showed up, even a war broke out, as if whispering that his luck was running out now, and the only thing he had left was a terrible and painful death. In the end, Nicholas surrendered to his curse. He decided to have a child without a fuss, but as soon as the witch gives birth, she immediately throws Nicholas away. After that, Nicholas learned the whole story behind the curse. Furious, he casts a final spell on his lifelong enemy. So what happened? They both died. Do you know how ridiculous I felt as I was reading the last page? I got so angry. I mean, what kind of absurd story is this? I read it because I thought it was a love story of a cunning woman who seduces a man who never loved. But love broke down, the family collapsed, and even a country was destroyed because of a war. My heart was broken. What should I do for my poor Nicholas, and a newborn baby who shares his blood? And so, even I, who never wrote malicious comments in my life, made one. Author. Is this a novel written from hell? If there is any value in this stupid novel with no dreams, no hopes, no courage, and no love, then you shouldn't categorize it as romance. What the readers of romance novels want to know is how the protagonists meet, fall in love, and whether they have a happy ending or not. That's all. But what is this? The writer gave me shit. I paid for your novel, but you gave me shit that I should have stopped here. But I started to press the like button crazily. There were over 10,000 like. At this point, the curiosity seed had been planted. Eventually, the author made fun of this careless finger once again. At least give me the spin. Off. Since the original ending has already gone to hell, please write the if version. What I mean is, please write a story about a beautiful and sweet-hearted woman, unlike the witch. Then, the like kept increasing. These people are all human beings who have suffered like me. Those who suffered could have just spit on it and dropped the novel, but instead they were pathetically crying for a spin. Off like a beggar. However, something unexpected happened. An email came from the cute witch. I should mention, Cute Witch is a pseudonym of the author who wrote this novel. Perhaps this pedo witch is based on his real-life personality. Anyway, the content of the email was like this. Just like what Miss Elena said, I'll try to write the spin off. But I hope you can give me a hand. Yes. The genre is romance, the sub-genre is fantasy. I hope you reach your desired ending. As soon as I thought, what does this mean? My head was spinning terribly. There was a wicked and sinister cackle from somewhere. There was an ominous voice that sent shivers all over my body. Let's see if you'll do it justice. So that's how I got into the novel. No, I was reincarnated as a newborn baby. In the beginning, I clearly remembered every detail in the novel. I remembered not only the first meeting of the witch and Nicholas, but also where and how he proposed, and what kind of hardships and adversities he faced. Isn't that expected? Since Nicholas is my favorite character, but I was born as a baby, so I couldn't keep a track of what happened. I kept a record of it in my mind every day, however, I could only remember the big outline. Then I grew up as Elena Hilt. In her previous life, she regained her lost family and then lived happily and well. As I gradually became Elena, my memories of the novel faded. If my name was Who Pooped on My Head, I wouldn't have remembered. Elena, right, I am Elena Hilt and I will be with Adrian Bielvardo, a promising knight, for the rest of my life. Not to mention, I'm really happy right now. Because I'm about to have the greatest moment of my life. For those of you who are aggravated at the sudden development, I'll be going back to a few moments ago. Be sure to follow along, everyone. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.